So right now, we're assuming that we're always going to use the default font size in order to calculate this. But let's say we wanted to do this same thing for the margin on a heading where it's not using the default font size. It won't be 16 pixels anymore, it will be 24 pixels or something like that. Well, if we try to use px2em for that, the margin's going to be kind of funky because it's no longer related to the size of the heading. So what would be ideal is if we could also pass in a different font size if we wanted to use for this value here, but by default to use this default font size because most of the time maybe we'll be using that default font size. So to do this, we can use an optional argument. And the way we do that is we add a comma here in order to add another argument. And let's call this base size. Now, if we left it like this, we would be required to provide two values to px2em in order for it to work. But we can set a default value to this by using a colon and then our value. In this case, we want the value to be our default font size variable. So we'll copy this and we'll paste it in here. And then we'll replace this default font size with the base size parameter and paste that in. Okay, now if we go back to the browser and refresh, it looks like our spacing is good. So to test this out, let's change the default font size and see if it carries through. So we'll go to our variables partial and it will change this 16 to 1. We'll save it and jump back to our browser and refresh, and we'll see the spacing goes up quite a bit. Let's see why that happens. So if we go to our function here, our base size is now 1 because it's being set to the default font size here. And so what we're returning is the size in pixels, which is 3, divided by the base size, which is 1, plus em. So it's 3 ems, which means that it's going to be the size of the text, which we know is 16 pixels, times 3. So 36 pixels of margin between these two.